$1 billion deal was seconds from collapse. The CEO panicked, no translator, no backup, and a room full of foreign investors waiting. Then out of nowhere, the janitor stepped forward. What he said in flawless Mandarin didn't just save the deal, it changed his entire life. And no one saw it coming. The 84th floor of Grayson Global's Manhattan skyscraper gleamed in the morning sun, casting long shadows across the polished boardroom table. Everything was pristine: crystal water glasses, leather chairs, high-definition presentation screens. Today wasn't just any meeting. It was the meeting, a potential $500 million partnership between Grayson Global and a powerful Chinese tech conglomerate. CEO Richard Grayson, one of America's most recognized billionaires, stood near the head of the table, checking his Rolex for the 5th time in 2 minutes. Around him buzzed a dozen executives and legal advisors, all dressed in tailored suits and tense expressions. Across the table, 5 Chinese investors sat silently, respectful but expectant, waiting for the meeting to begin. Then came the problem. A frantic assistant rushed in, whispering nervously into Richard's ear. The Mandarin translator, the one vital piece of the puzzle, had collapsed in the elevator. Taken by ambulance, unreachable, suddenly the mood shifted. Richard's confident posture stiffened. His mouth opened, but no words came. None of his team spoke Mandarin. The room, once buzzing with anticipation, grew dead quiet. One of the Chinese executives adjusted his glasses and glanced at his watch. Time was ticking. Deals like this don't pause for long, not when hundreds of millions are at stake. Richard tried to force a smile, but the panic behind his eyes was unmistakable. $1 billion opportunity was slipping through his fingers, all because of one missing voice? And then, from the hallway, the most unlikely voice rose up, calm, clear. "Excuse me, sir. I can translate." Heads turned. Silence. At the doorway stood a janitor in a green uniform, holding a mop, and a secret no one expected. Everyone stared. For a moment, time stood still. Standing at the doorway, wearing a slightly faded green jumpsuit and scuffed black work shoes, was Malik Johnson, the building's night janitor. A pair of wireless headphones hung loosely around his neck, and his gloved hands clutched the handle of his mop bucket. Richard Grayson squinted, unsure if he had heard correctly. What did you say?" Malik stepped forward slowly, with quiet confidence. "I said I can translate. Mandarin, Cantonese, and a little Shanghainese if needed." A low murmur moved through the room. An executive stifled a chuckle, assuming it was a joke. Another whispered, "This can't be real," but Malik wasn't joking. He met the Chinese investor's gaze, gave a respectful nod, and said a full, flawless greeting in Mandarin. The lead investor, Mr. Chun, blinked, startled, and then replied with cautious curiosity, asterisk to everyone's shock. Malik responded instantly, flowing naturally between dialects. Within seconds, the 2 men were casually exchanging greetings as if they'd known each other for years. The room was stunned. Richard, still trying to process, gestured to a seat at the table. "Mr. Johnson, please sit down." And so he did. The janitor who cleaned these floors for years now sat beside millionaires, translating business terms with precision, capturing tone, humor, even subtle cultural references. The boardroom transformed. What had been panic and embarrassment just minutes ago now felt poised, professional, and even hopeful. The Chinese delegation visibly relaxed. The meeting continued, not just because of Malik's language, but because of his presence. And in that moment, Richard realized this man wasn't just a janitor. He was the reason the deal was still alive. As the meeting rolled on, Malik's presence became the unexpected center of the room. His calm tone, fluid command of Mandarin, and respectful handling of cultural nuances impressed not just the Chinese executives, but Richard himself. For nearly 2 hours, Malik translated complex legal terms, corporate strategy, even small talk over lunch. He didn't just speak the language, he understood the culture behind it. After the delegation left, satisfied and smiling, Richard pulled Malik aside. "Who are you?" he asked, still half in disbelief. Malik gave a humble shrug. "Just the janitor, sir. But before that, I was a linguistics student at Yale. Richard's eyes widened. Malik continued, voice calm but laced with unspoken pain. My mother was a Chinese professor. Taught at a community college in D.C., she raised me, bilingual. I got into Yale on a scholarship. Learned 5 languages? Mandarin came easy. So, why are you pushing a mop? Richard asked quietly. Malik took a deep breath. Junior year, both my parents were killed by a drunk driver. I was 20. I had 2 younger brothers, one in high school, one just 9. No family left. Safety net. I dropped out, got a job, raised them. Didn't have time to chase dreams. Richard said nothing at first. The air felt heavy with the weight of Malik's sacrifice. All those years of brilliance, buried beneath fluorescent lights and late-night floors. But today, the world had seen it, not in a lecture hall, but in a boardroom. The janitor, who should have been a diplomat, had just saved $1 billion deal. And for the first time in years, someone finally asked about his story. The next morning, Malik arrived at work like he always did, quietly, early, and wearing his faded green janitor's uniform. His shift started at 5 a.m., the boardroom floors still needed cleaning. Trash cans still needed emptying. But something felt different. As he reached for his key card, 2 suited security guards approached him at the lobby entrance. Malik's heart skipped. Was he in trouble? Had he crossed a line yesterday? Mr. Johnson, one of them said with a respectful nod. Mr. Grayson? Would like to see you upstairs. Upstairs? Malik repeated, confused. They escorted him to the executive elevator, the one he'd cleaned hundreds of times, but never once ridden. When the doors opened on the 84th floor, Richard Grayson stood waiting, smiling warmly. Malik, he said, offering a handshake, you saved us yesterday. But more than that, you reminded me what brilliance looks like when the world isn't paying attention. Richard stepped aside, revealing a sleek glass office with Malik's name already on the door. You're no longer a janitor. As of today, you're our new Director of Global Cultural Communications, with a full team, 6-figure salary and full tuition if you ever want to finish Yale. Malik's mouth opened, but no words came. Emotion swelled in his chest. His hands, once calloused from years of mopping floors, trembled slightly. And one more thing, Richard added, placing a folder in Malik's hand. I'm creating a foundation, the Johnson Initiative, a scholarship for kids with potential, but no support. It'll be named after your mother. Malik's eyes filled with tears for the first time in a long, long time. He wasn't surviving. He was finally living the life he had once sacrificed. Word spread quickly. What started as an ordinary board meeting had turned into a moment that captured the soul of the internet. News outlets ran headlines like, Janitor saves $500 million, deal with one sentence. The hidden genius who silenced a billionaire boardroom overnight. Malik Johnson became a symbol of quiet brilliance, the man who had been overlooked for years, only to rise at the perfect moment. He didn't let the attention change him. He still rode the bus to work, still greeted the cleaning crew by name. But now he walked the halls not with a mop, but with purpose. Colleagues respected him. Interns sought his advice. Executives listened when he spoke. The Johnson Initiative, the scholarship created in his family's name, launched that fall. Hundreds of inner-city students applied. Many of them had stories just like Malik's, full of hidden brilliance, crushed under the weight of life's hardships. 1 year later, at a major business summit, Richard Grayson introduced Malik as the keynote speaker. Standing under bright lights, Malik looked out at a crowd of CEOs, investors, and entrepreneurs. I wasn't supposed to be here, he began. But then again, sometimes life hides its brightest minds in the most unexpected places. The audience rose to their feet in thunderous applause, not just because of what he had done, but because of who he had become. And back at home, in a simple frame on his bookshelf, sat a photo of his parents, smiling, proud. Beside it, his Yale acceptance letter now complete. Malik Johnson's story wasn't about luck. It was about resilience, about being ready when no one's watching, about shining even when the world turns off the lights. In a world that often overlooks quiet talent, Malik Johnson reminded us that brilliance doesn't always wear a suit. Sometimes it wears a janitor's uniform and carries a mop. He didn't just translate words that day, he translated a message for us all. Greatness can rise from anywhere, even from the shadows of the 84th floor. So the next time you walk past someone invisible, ask yourself, what if that person is the key to everything? If Malik's story touched your heart, don't leave without letting it echo forward. Like to honor unseen heroes, share to inspire someone who needs hope. Subscribe to hear more stories that prove you don't have to be seen to be someone great.